Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
It's live.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
All right, greetings and welcome to Live Talk. I am your host, Arthur Mike, alongside my two co-hosts, Minister Samuel.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Live Talk.
And the spiritual ambassador, Yeket Zekia.
Peace. Good afternoon.
All right, before we go to anything, let's go to our general statement and disclaimer.
General statement. Live Talk is proudly powered by TBS Goodwill, Builders of the Highway Foundation, and Men of Purpose. Together, we're bringing about awareness to the everyday challenges facing individuals, communities, and our nation. We tell our stories, listen to yours, and always respect different perspectives. Want to share your voice? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com to be a guest, or if you would like to contribute to our mission, purpose, go to livetalkorl.com to give a donation. Disclaimer. Information provided during this event and others to come does not constitute the official opinion of Live Talk or its affiliate entities. It is strongly recommended that viewers seek independent expert advice regarding any topics discussed, as legal requirements differ significantly across jurisdictions and are subject to frequent changes. If you have questions or concerns, you can always email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Facebook and or Instagram at Live Talk Orlando.
All right, my brothers, we had to get that out of the way. How are my brothers doing today, Minister?
Doing great here on a Sunday morning as we transition Live Talk for this season. So we definitely thank everybody for joining us.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Yeket Zekia, Ambassador.
I'm doing marvelous. All is well and all is moving forward.
All right. And I have to say the same. You know, we changed the times of the show. We used to be on Saturday. Now we're back on Sunday. Nothing changes. It's just a different day. We still get the same good news. But it's definitely a beautiful day. They said it's supposed to get a little cool here. Got some rain coming in.
I heard it rain. It was getting cloudy. I mean, in the morning, if it rains, temperature will probably be dropping again.
Right, man. So we have to go deep back when you put those jackets, if you're Floridians, them jackets you put way back and thought it was over with, you have to pull them babies back out. All right, so family, we hope you pray that you're doing just as well as we are. We're just going to give you a rundown of the show today. First, we'll have the minister word of today. Right after that, we'll go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back with our main topic. Our main topic is modern Black excellence, how we're redefining success today. And after that, we'll go to another commercial break, and we'll come back with some community news. We'll find out what's on our brother Yeket Zekia's mind. And then we'll get ready to close out with either a motivational quote or reading from the host. So with no further ado, Minister, what is the word of today?
Okay, our word of today for February 22nd, 2026 is innovation or innovate. That's innovation or innovate. And it can be defined as to make changes, do something in a new way. It is a new device or product to introduce as new. Innovation can also be defined as the process of bringing about new ideas, methods, products, services, or solutions that have a significant positive impact and value. It involves transforming creative concepts into tangible outcomes that improve efficiency and effectiveness or address unmet needs. Some synonyms are invention, creation, novelty, product, establish, and launch. Innovation.
All right, innovation, innovate. We're talking a lot about that today. So thank you for that word of the day, Minister. And we'll go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right
At NOY Store, we bring culture, style, and wellness all in one place. Explore our collection of cultural apparel designed to inspire and connect. From t-shirts to polos, boldly tell your story. Need guidance on your journey? Check out our books written to inspire and support your spiritual, personal, and community growth. And give your body the care it deserves with our health and wellness products like natural toothpaste, soothing body butters, and more. We're always adding new products to empower your life so you can live with purpose and style. Visit noystore.com today, where culture, wellness, and inspiration come together. Shop at noystore.com.
Welcome back to Apopka, where the biggest problem is still why all the farmland turning into commercial real estate. Some of y'all be really pissed about these damn tourists from Orlando.
Of course I'm back at Rock Springs. I was just wondering why all the locals say the water's too hot, the rocks will cut your feet, and it's too dangerous. It seems beautiful to me.
This is Journey Christian Church, growing just as fast as the town. Just don't get lost in the 600 people or you'll have to pray your way out.
We're at Harmon on the Lake, and these apartments are so bougie. You cannot claim to have small town feel when it's all rich people that love to tell you they from New York.
I'd normally go to Halls on 5th, but got recommended Propagate Coffee with a side of Let's Talk Drama with all the town moms. Time to put the fake friend mask on.
Had to go back in time for this one. Remember when you got dragged here with your mom for the 6th time of the month? Little did you know you would miss this place.
And now tax season right around the corner reminding us we grown up. Let's be honest, none of us ever know if we did it right. That's why I go to Scott & Associates accounting firm right here in Apopka.
Scott & Associates been doing taxes for 19 years, which means they're one of the only firms that explains it in English, not that IRS fear language.
They give every client $1 million audit defense. IRS pulls up, these guys pull up harder. They're the only way to go this season. Make the phone call.
And remember, y'all, when it comes to taxes, you can always count on Scott. Peace.
All right, don't forget that now. When it comes to taxes, you can always count on Scott.
It's that time.
It's that time of year. It's definitely that time of year. And it's heating up. Because it's getting close, what, February?
Yes.
It's like March, April, it's heating up, guys.
Don't go it alone.
Right.
You can run into a wall.
Yes, sir.
That wall can knock you out.
You better believe it. You better have a defense behind you. But yeah, so we are still in Black History Month. Our last show, we went deep into, just some innovators, and we want to just expand on that. And today we're going to be talking about Black Excellence Reloaded, winning on our own terms. So we heard the phrase Black Excellence all the time, but today we're asking, what does that actually mean in 2025? Are we on? Oh.
Yep.
Oh, what happened? Oh.
I'm putting up the video up there.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mean to put it.
Yeah, I think that's just backstage.
Oh, okay.
It's still on you.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm confused by looking at this. Keep me on this screen here so I know what I'm talking to somebody. No, but we heard that phrase Black Excellent all the time. But today we're asking, what does that actually mean in 2025? Is it grinding nonstop? Is it luxury? Is it ownership? Or is it something deeper? Because maybe excellent isn't about proving ourselves anymore. Maybe it's about defining success on our own terms. Now, we put in the chat today for our listening audience and watching audience some questions. Those same questions, we want you to engage with those questions And we want to come back and be able to share what you shared with us with the listening audience. So just make sure as we go throughout this program that you're tuned into those questions. And then you also just tuned into what we're going to be discussing today. All right. So we're going to get right into it, because when you hear about Black excellence, what comes to mind? That's the question. What comes to mind? And has that definition changed for you over the time? Now I'm gonna bring this back to our studio and to the ambassador that's on. When we think about Black excellence, what comes to mind, and how has that definition changed for you over the time? You know, we always had an idea of what Black excellence looked like, but when we think about, you know, entertainers, etc., a lot of times, depending on either how you was raised or what type of institutions you was affiliated with, kind of give you an idea of what that may look like. And we all have ideas of what that looks like. So what that looks like to you, brothers, and has that definition changed for you over time?
Most definitely. Black excellence at one time in my life was having a celebrity type lifestyle. But as I grew older, I understood and looked at the word excellence itself. And the root word was excel. So for me to be able to excel in every aspect of my life, you know, financially, educationally, spiritually, domestically, physically, then I had to define what that is for me, because that's not the same thing for everybody else. So my level of excellence or my level of success will have to be a pattern after the goals that I set for myself. And since I'm constantly redefining myself, I'm constantly evolving with all the new information that I inculcate on a regular basis, then my excellence is ever shifting. So where I'm at today is not where I'm going to be 3, 6, or a year from now. And it just, as I said, it's predicated on what I want for my life. It's not about outside forces. I don't judge myself based on athletes, entertainers, lawyers, doctors, or anybody else that excels at their particular field. I look at the talents that I was given and I ask myself, am I cultivating those to the highest degree? And if I am, and I can see the growth in those areas, then I know I'm being excellent. I'm being supreme in my being by being able to daily grow in every aspect of my life. So that's how I judge Black excellence today.
Okay. Ministers.
Yeah, and I would actually agree with a lot of that, because just, you know, personally, when you think of Black excellence, I mean, I can go back from a very young age, and like for some person that always like will come to my mind when I'm from a very young is like Lena Horne. Was exude excellence because of the way she looked, the way she performed, the way she was able to like break through barriers with her voice. And so you saw that, and yet she was an entertainer. And even people like Sidney 48, but then when you move the needle forward, you can think about excellence like from an era of, like, you know, Michael Jordan was truly, you know, excelling. You know, he was the epitome. You know, even though you had people like Magic Johnson. I grew up in the era with Dr. J, who was phenomenal. But it's like, and then Michael just excelled and took even that to another level. And so it's and then like even in this modern age, you look at someone like a Oprah Winfrey. She just took what started as one part and just exploded it. But as a personal growth and looking at it, it's why I agree with my brother, is because I think that excellence has to be defined for each one of us as an individual, and we need to be mindful not to allow someone's outside of ourselves to define what excellence is for us, specifically as a people and as an individual. Like we can't say this is what society says is excellence, and then that's what we shoot for, because you may not be in that box. And that box that society may drum up is not the only form of excellence. So I think it definitely has to be a personal definition. And then that's where you actually can achieve the excellence when it means something particular and special to you as an individual or the group that you may be working from. And then for all of us as a whole.
And I think, I guess as a community, being in poverty, you can look at television, like we're saying, entertainers and athletes as being, black excellence. But even from that standpoint, we don't really know what they go through. We don't know how much money, we don't know their success story. Really, is it successful? We just know they're on television, and we're inspired to be there. And I used to look at that same thing, like both of you brothers share. But when you start to home in on what true black excellence is, you can think about the faith-based leader in the community, or you think about the business owner, from small business, medium-sized business, and your local politician, those that you can talk to, those that you communicate with, and you see it so you can attain it. Is that part of what we imagine black excellence to be was more of an illusion, because you couldn't grab it, you couldn't touch it, you couldn't hold it, you couldn't communicate with it. But now you're seeing that I can attain this here. And I like that you went to the root word excel, because that's a part of it. You have to, when we talk about excellence, that's what it's about. It's about excelling beyond the standard where you are right now. That's excellence at its best. So I love that. I love the comments that we shared. And when it comes to that, just thinking about that, and it's just a follow-up to that, because I was taught to abide, just understanding the importance of studying. We talked about the Most Honorable Yamiyawe last show, who was one that inspired me when it came to that, and just understanding that, because someone has to be able to direct you in that path so that you can get that knowledge or understanding to understand or overstand the process of excelling. Who was that one, maybe in you brothers' lives, that kind of gave you that gauge, like that different mindset of definition of what excellence truly is?
Well, for me, it was I have an auntie, and she was a world-renowned track coach. She excelled. She broke numerous records as a black female coach. So growing up, she would come and she would instill in me wisdom that allowed me to see that I could rise above my circumstances. That according to the work that I put in and the grind that I got on, that I could accomplish anything in life. And every time I saw her, spoke with her, that fire was lit, because she was a living example of that right there. coming from living in Mississippi in poverty in the 60s and 70s to growing up and having world-renowned fame. So it let me know that you can go as far as your work ethic takes you. So that was my immediate live example of what Black excellence looked like.
Mm. And go ahead, Minister.
You know, and I have a lot that
Right.
that have helped inspire me. Like I said in the last show, we talked about, you know, the impact that most honorable Yahweh had, and that was like kind of magnanimous. But even before that time, I can remember, and it's been a long time, my third grade teacher, and I don't want to misquote her name, but I can picture her in my head. And I mentioned her on another show, but she was a math teacher. And she instilled in the students, and she was able to say this at that time, but she said it with love, but even though she was stern, that you have to be 5 times, you have to be 5 times better than your white counterparts if you go succeed in this country or in America. And it was allowed to do this. That's why I don't want to name her either. Mm-hmm. They used to use ruler, and if we was messing up, or she would come out with that ruler, she would crack you on your knuckles, and it would get your attention.
Right.
And that's what she would say, because you have to be 5 times better. So I'm not going to allow you to fall behind, because you're going to have to do this. And then moving forward, I mean, you were there yesterday. I graduated from Jones High School, which is a predominantly Black high school here. And it is like a mega school. For anybody from Orlando, Jones High is phenomenal. We have a Tiger Pride. And it's like we have a reunion, but it's all classes from like the 50s all the way up to 2026. Mm-hmm. And there's hundreds, there's thousands. And we come together. I've not seen anything like this. I heard some people say they've seen stuff similar in colleges, but we talk about a high school. But we have very prominent people from our high school, from political leaders there. But I remember another math teacher, and her name was Barbara Burns, and she exhibited excellence because she not just exhibited and demonstrated it, but she required it from us. And it was like one of those things that she came out and she's like looking and talking to all of her students. And whether she realized it, I hope she realized it, she inspired a whole generation of us to be better and to be more, because it was about what you can do and to excel, not just be average, but to excel.
Now, I mean, you took me back a little bit just sharing that. And I remember my math teacher, it was 6th grade, still in elementary, but his name was Mr. McCall. I remember him vividly because he would always give us like those 50-cent coin. Like that was a motivation. And he understood how to motivate children, especially us. Yeah. And that's why I use that method even to the day, because it was a method that drove me, to that next level in mathematics. I probably didn't care as much, though males normally are a little bit more savvy when it comes to numbers and dealing with math than, the females. But it was just one of those things that really motivated me. And he kind of gave me, shared with me something that a lot of the teachers didn't share with us. But he knew that because he was, Black himself, but he was able to connect with us. I was in a white school, because, that's when everything was being.
They started busting.
Right. But he really showed us that. But then my uncle, I believe all my uncles, really, because even one of my uncles, he owned his own fish restaurant in Syracuse. You know, he was probably the first entrepreneur I can think of in the family. And my other uncle, who is in the military, he's still around today. He was someone I inspired, you know, to be, because he traveled the whole world. So it's like, who won't inspire to want to travel the whole world? But you know, it's just many people, like you said, many people in our life that showed us a form of excellence that we overlooked. That now we look back and say, like, man, that's Black excellence.
Yes.
So I just want to share that. And I'm glad your brothers were able to kind of chime in and share some of that as well. But at the end of the day, let's be real. Sometimes Black excellence feels like pressure. And we know, even with those that we're talking about, we know there was a lot of pressure around that and trying to excel and do some of the things that they did. Do we feel like we have to be twice as good? And you spoke about this here. Now the question comes to you: do you feel like we have to be twice as good?
I totally agree. And she, not only was she stern, but she was a great math teacher, because she took the time and she taught you how to count, because she understood that foundation. She was at that early, and see this. She was like before busing. After her, I got bust. That's why she was able to say
what she said.
She was able to say it. After that, they started busting us, and then you had to be more savvy. But yes, it was. Wow, I was literally in her classroom, and it took me back. Ask that question. Ask that question again.
Do we feel like we have to be twice as good, considering, you know, the pressure of, you know, excelling as Black excellence?
It does. It's not fair, but the reality is always there that, you know, being good is not enough.
Yeah.
Being good is not enough. You have to be better, because if you're not better, if you're not excellent, you're going to be overlooked to somebody with less qualifications or less ability gets picked. So unfortunately, you do have that drive or that innate that I have to be twice as good.
Indeed, yes, sir. Ezekiel.
No, I don't agree with that right there.
Okay.
I agree with what the teacher said. You got to be at least 4 or 5 times better. And the reason being, it goes back to what I always espouse. This system was created by and for the white people. Therefore, everything from the educational system on down was to excel their children. So the Black, the Hispanic communities, they have to work much harder to try to understand a system that wasn't created for or by them. So it's like going to another country and emulating the culture of those people. What comes naturally to them, you're going to have to put in hard work to learn, because you're in virgin territory. So in this day and age, we definitely have to work that much harder, especially since they're erasing large portions of our history. And we know if you don't have a history to draw on of excellence, then you will never aspire to have excellence in your life. You're not going to become that which you have no knowledge of. So, unfortunately, because of the country we have been raised in, the standard for us And the measuring stick is a lot longer if we truly wish to excel. So when they're studying 2 hours a day, I have to be studying a minimum of 4 or 5 hours because the system favors them. If I go in with the exact same credentials that they have, then there's a 90 or better % chance that they're going to get hired before me. And that's just a fact of the situation. We were brought to this shores of North America to be the manual labor or stay in the minimum wage department. And if you look around in society today, the vast majority of minimum wage or low paying jobs are filled with the black and brown people. So yes, in order for us to get up into the corporate America mentality, we have to excel.
You know, and when we're talking about it, being 3 and 4 and 5 times better, I just remember a scripture, the Bible, how I believe it the Nezer, when he's talking to Daniel, saying you have to be 10 times better. We use that in our method and how we live our life today, understanding what you brothers just shared. And the question then centers around, if I know this here, then I know if I go and apply for this job, I have to be qualified or overqualified in order to get it. That's why DEI became a issue where many black folks believe that we benefited from it other than others. Because think about it. If I go and apply for this job, and I've done applied for some jobs and didn't get them. And I'm just be straight up. I wasn't qualified for it. But they ain't sit there and say, we got this DEI, affirmative action. We have to hire this person here, although he's not qualified. Believe me, any African American, if you want to call us that, a so-called black person that get a job here in America, make sure I say it right, in America, is qualified or overqualified to get that job. They're not giving us nothing. So when it comes to, do we have to be good? Yes, we have to be the 3 times, 5 times, 10 times better in order to qualify for that job. And although our counterparts may not be qualified, but we understand who runs this system. So if we're not qualified or overqualified, we're not getting that job. So there's no question about if we're in employment anywhere, if we're qualified to do the job. Oh, we're qualified. And most of the time we're overqualified to do whatever employment that we become, interested in. So I love that. And we have to be very conscious and mindful of that, even from our children, our future that's coming up right now. And I know they intertwine with different nationalities and race. Keep in mind, their fathers are in position that can hire them. And they just may not be as qualified as you are, but you're not going to get that position just because they have a connection there. So we have to just be mindful that we have to be 5 to 10 times better than our counterparts in order for us to excel in their system. So I do agree with what my brothers are sharing, and I'm kind of looking right at my son audience when I'm saying this. Because I want them to understand that it's very important we teach our children this, because they're just, I was talking to my grandson yesterday, and I said, son, there's certain things that you cannot do. You can't get caught up messing around. And I always go back and I always think about the financial guru, Dave Ramsey. Live today like nobody else, so you can live tomorrow like nobody else. While your friends are hanging around, acting a fool and doing all the other prep, focus. Get yourself together, get your mind right, so that now you can attain the wealth and the excellency that we're talking about. So later on, you're living a good life, and they're trying to catch up. Man, we got to get our life together. Your life together. Now you can get them a job or something if you choose to do so. But that's what we have to inspire to teach our children what that looks like, so that now they can refocus themselves to understand, I can't do what he's doing. He's clowning around. I can't do that. I got to stay focused. So
Yeah, I'm going to give you a reverse analogy of that.
Okay.
Something that was very much in the spotlight last year. You take a man that has excelled at his field, LeBron James, the basketball player, and he made it known he wanted to play with his child. And when his son was coming out of college, his performance was subpar, even among his teammates. But yet he still got drafted and got placed on the team with his father, even though he didn't excel. So the masses of people were bashing LeBron because his influence allowed somebody with lesser talent to get drafted over people with greater talent. So it's showing you sometimes that you have to have, one, the work ethic, but in LeBron's son case, it was who you know.
And I agree.
That allowed you to get to a level that many young men that was in college are working hard daily to get to. And they felt that because of who his father was, he got hired at the position that they were more talented and should have got.
You know what, though? It's kind of like the changing of the gods. You know, I mean, we can't excuse that, because you brought a very valid point up. And that's true, because there were a lot of young men that was more qualified and should have been drafted. But yet and still, Bronny James got drafted because of his father.
But see that, and I'm glad you bring it up. But see that goes back to overall of winning on our own terms and what we're talking about with this Black excellence, because of LeBron's status and because of the amount of money he made. Like LeBron done made a lot of money, but imagine how much he made for those above him. So it's like, because of that, he as an individual was given that pass. But that also highlights what we're saying when it comes to math, science, reading, and jobs. On the other side, that happens all the time. And we are normally the ones not getting a job, and those are because they're average and we're better. So it just highlighted what happened in a reverse. But that's the exception. That's not the rule.
Right.
Hey, brother, do we have any comments coming in? Okay. Just want to make sure I don't overlook no one.
Yeah, I was looking for them.
Okay. All right. So no, man, I think that's hot. and I love that. And I love that you was able to just identify that and be able to share that, because that's one of the exceptions. And we don't know, as I say, changing of the gods, as we start to, become more, prominent in the things that we do, you'll start seeing some things change, but we still know who's at the top of that, who just gave a pass to that, right?
Yes.
So when we
and that pass, do you think it was only because of his talent, or did it have something to do? This is American cap with the amount of dollars.
Oh, definitely.
He has generated.
Right. Capitalism at its best.
Because if he hadn't generated that kind of money, that wouldn't have happened.
Right. He wouldn't have got that pass.
And because they know they want to keep him there because his name sells tickets.
Mm-hmm.
His name means money.
Mm-hmm.
So they smart enough. They happen to cut off that green. Right. They see green. In that case, they saw more green than they saw black.
Right. Oh, now they looking at green. We know that.
Because he could go somewhere else. They don't want that to happen. Because somebody, no, we can let somebody else get that money.
But they could have, I mean, we ain't going to be late with it. But we know what could have transpired. And just thinking about, you know, and I'm sitting here thinking, because we have to, it's many things that we have to do to try to juggle to reach that status, right? And we call that the hustle culture, right? The hustle culture. So is hustle culture hurting us, considering all the things we have to do to try to put us in a position of excellence? Is that hurting us? And I don't think it's a yes or no question neither. But go ahead, sir.
I think the hustle culture has come about because, as we said, the system that's in play in America keeps us in an economic slump. So in order for us to try to excel, we had to come up with different methods. You know, the black community is notorious for throwing fish fries. They're notorious for having, you know, cakes sales, baking sales. They're going to do whatever is necessary to get themselves ahead economically. So that mindset permeates throughout the community because everybody is looking for a way to get ahead. And since we know that for black men, most of us don't graduate. We have one of the highest dropout rates in America. So how does you being a male in America equate monetarily? So if you're dropping out in middle school or in high school, you still need some type of funds to exist. And since you don't have a trade, you don't have a viable skill set that would translate monetarily, then you have to come up with some type of hustle to support yourself until you reach a stage where you can get a skill set. So the hustle concept is just who we are trying to get ahead. And it looks different to each and every individual according to their own talents. But I don't think the hustle concept is ever going to leave our communities as long as we're being economically suppressed. And we know that part of that is, as we were saying, we do not have the teachers. We do not have the mentors. We do not have the community that's stressing to our youth that you have to be 2 or 3 times better at every aspect of life in order for you not to have to hustle, because you will have a skill set that will bring you that same amount of money without the stress and sorrow that comes with hustling. You have a prison system that's full of men and women that had the hustle mindset. Only a few minute of these people were, working jobs that allowed them to excel financially. The mass majority of people that was in prison economically were trying to better their position using what talents that they felt they were given. And most, especially young black males, feel that if they can't be an athlete, they can't be an entertainer, then the next best thing is to be some sort of hustle. And unfortunately, that hustling lifestyle feeds the prison system because we're not as savvy at it as we would like to believe, which is evidence showing that I done been to prison 3, 5, 7, 8 times. And all of that time and accumulating the wealth from that, had I been working during that time right there, I would have a strong economic base and be putting myself in a position to excel because I may be networking with other people that can take my business to the sky. So the hustle culture is one that we've wholeheartedly embraced since coming to the shores of America. And it's a mindset that I believe that we have to apply in the trade business. We need to apply educationally so that we can become, the doctors, the lawyers, the fields that generate that type of wealth without having to look over my shoulder.
Yeah, I would say it is definitely can be a two-edged sword because like we're talking to be 5 times better, sometimes you got to give more in order to just get to the same level as others or to maintain. So it becomes like a norm. But when you sacrifice the time and the effort and the energy, that means there's always going to be a deficit that you have to be aware of because there has to be a real balance. You have to be able to set a balance. And it's easy to get into the culture or to get into that hustle mindset, especially if you get to a point to where, okay, money is coming. The business is doing what it needs to do, and I got to keep fueling it. But at some point, you have to look and say, what am I sacrificing? Which is why I say we have to define what that excellence means. Like even me as a business owner, I know there were times when it was normal to be out almost every day, 8, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And that brings in extra revenue. But then at some point, you have to ask the question is, for those extra 4 or 5 hours, was it not being able to sit down with my family and have dinner, not being able to help with the homework? It's like you have to give up something, so you have to find the balance, because we know if we do just like our counterparts, it's never enough. So we got to do more than our counterparts. But then there's where we can suffer. That's why the prison system is as it is, because our success comes at a cost. Like if you look at the culture, for example, in the music industry, we have, with Tupac and Biggie, probably 2 of the most talented that were out there. I think, culturally, we'd have been much better for them to still be here. But that whole hustle culture, we no longer have them. So it's like there's a give and then there's a take. And we have to define the excellence so we can find a happy medium without it consuming us.
Yes, sir. Great points. And I'd say the same thing. I think we're kind of saying the same thing, yes and no, because we know opportunities are still hard for us to come across. And although all Americans need to have, multiple streams of income in order to survive, what happened with us in our community, instead of us being like our counterparts where we work smarter instead of harder, it's like backwards. We work harder, and still in the same situation. And it hurts us because it leads to, failing health. Because the longer we work and put our time, invest our time in what we're doing, it takes away from family time. It takes away from the ideal of going to a doctor.
Yes.
Because I can't do all of those things because I'm trying to hustle to make sure I can stay ahead. So definitely it can hurt us because of the lack of opportunities and the knowledge behind that. Because how do I then now create 5 streams of income? What does that even look like? How can I work smarter instead of harder? I don't even know what that looks like. What's that?
Too busy hustling.
Right. If I'm not out there working and put my hands towards something, then I'm not gonna feel accomplished, or nothing else will fulfill me. And I think we have to get back to understanding that yes, that hustle culture exists, but finding other ways so that it don't destroy us individually or as a family in the community. Because when it destroys us, it destroys our family and it destroys the community, because family equals community, equals the nation as well. So definitely there's a yes and no there. But when it comes to us, we have to learn how to work smarter, not harder. And that's been a challenge in our community. So thinking about that, and I know we're coming up on an hour, just thinking about that, is excellence sometimes tied to trauma? Because oftentimes people excel because of their past experiences, and they want to change from that, and they have to refocus themselves. So do we think excellence sometimes are tied to trauma? Do you know anybody that you may have seen excel based off of trauma?
I definitely got one. That way I can throw a plug in since it's Black History. For when we think about, we all hear about electricity, we think about Thomas Edison, creating a light bulb. But see, there was a brother, his name was Louis Latimer.
Yes, sir.
And he was born, his parents were slaves. They came from slavery. And he was born like in 1865. So, and when he grew up in a time, it's like your parents were bought out of slavery. And this was very hard for a Black man during that time. And we hear about Edison, but so I'm thinking, I know what he had to come from parents during that generation. And he came up in a patent office. He learned how to do patents, but because he excelled, like even with the telephone, he helped put the patent for Bell on the telephone. But we don't hear Louis Latimer, but it was Louis Latimer. When it comes to the light bulb, he, out of the need and necessity, was able to create, because I'm an electrician and I get that, he was able to create the filament to make light bulbs work the way they need to. Because what Edison did, but it was not efficient. They burned out too quickly. He created one that modernized, so now you could use light bulbs in business, industry, and it transformed the way America could do business, because now they could work longer. You didn't have to have candles anymore on street lights and in big. You could actually get light bulbs that work. And he went into that industry with Edison and was one of the only Blacks there. And he was like the one who spearheaded. He went to other countries, other cities, making this thing work. But we don't hear about Louis Latimer. But if it wasn't for what Lewis Latimer did, we would probably not have the lights and be able to have. The reason America was cutting edge is because we had these great, that's what I was talking about, innovation and inventors that took nothing and made it something. But don't get the recognition.
Right.
See, so like Edison's family, the wealth, it was because of a brother named Lewis Latimer who made all of that happen. His parents came out of slavery. So if your parents came out of slavery, oh, that was some serious trauma. But he didn't let that stop him. He caused that to make him be better.
Right. Now I'm glad you brought that to the forefront, because that was something that I didn't know. And now I know. See these lights in here?
Yeah.
They wouldn't last as long with Edison's idea of what a light bulb was. Without that brother there.
It took an innovator. It's like it, and he wasn't supposed to. He was self-taught. All of that from him, because he wasn't allowed to sit in the classes with them. He was self-educated, self-taught. And then once they saw his excellence, it was like, boom.
Mm-hmm. I think I have somebody else that joined us. Did she come on?
Yes.
Did you bring her on? You didn't bring her on stage. Well, Miss Finance Pro. Look at you. What you been doing? Traveling the world?
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Good afternoon, brothers. Happy Black History or Black African American History.
Welcome.
Loving the conversation, especially surrounded by Black excellence. So wanted to chime in and shed some light to a local hero, if that's okay with you all.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So in honor of Black History Month and Black excellence, I wanted to give a special shout out to our newest senator, LaVon Bracey. She took the role of her mentor, the late Geraldine Thomas. And recently she had a unanimous bill that passed the Florida Senate. And this is Senate Bill 694, which is going to compensate the descendants of the Groveland Four.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
So this is for what many people are calling the final step. And of course, what we know is decade-long journey. So for those that are on the podcast and may not know, this bill hits close to home because it happened in Florida. Happened not quite in Orlando, Florida, but very close because it happened in Ocoee, Florida. And this is, I don't have the exact year, but this is when a 17-year-old young white girl, she accused four young Black men, teenagers at the time. Actually, it was 1949. And this happened in Lake County. She accused them of rape. Ernest Thomas, he was killed by a posse shortly after the accusation. So he didn't even see his day in court. They were the jury and prosecute. They were all in one. So he was killed by a mob. Samuel Shepard and Walter Irvin were both shot by Sheriff Willis McCall. Samuel Shepard succumbed to those injuries. Walter Irvin, he survived. However, passed away in 1969, but he did parole out, so he saw some light. The longest living survivor died in 2012, and his name was Charles Greenlee. So the bill is for $4 million. The descendants of each of these gentlemen will receive $1 million for their estate. But I think it's also to put in context, too, that their names were finally cleared 4 years ago in 2021.
That's a good thing. That's good.
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
But just kudos because the late and great Geraldine Thomas, she fought to have their names cleared and for them to be exonerated. So it took nearly 70 years for that to happen, but yet and still it happened. So it takes a special leaders of our communities that continue to just, bring out that good fight to fight for our justice, whether it's current or past. Because if we don't address the past, we know that it often can and will affect our future.
That's right. Well, thank you for bringing that to the forefront. We are in Black History Month, and we do want to recognize our local politicians that are doing great things in our community. So thank you for that, Ms. Finance.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me join in on this conversation. And of course, kudos to you brothers as well, with the people that you bring on the show and the things that you do and the efforts that you make to allow these types of conversations to happen. You are definitely doing your part in excelling our cause and our people.
Thank you for that.
So shout out to you all as well.
We appreciate that. Well, we was talking about, and I don't know, you hang it. Oh, she took off.
She's back.
Oh,
no,
she's gone.
Okay, yes, sir.
Well, we was talking about, and that's a great. I don't want to just slide past that. I think that's very important, because when we look back at our past, we do need to correct some things. They correct their past. The Jews what happened? The Holocaust. They went back and hold some people accountable.
Yes.
Why not go back and do right by people that you have done wrong to? So I'm thankful for those that we put in office as leaders to do the right thing, and focus on the things that really matter to us and even to you, because obviously it's a passion to that person to take that initiative, and as it passed along, like she said, our sister passed, but she picked it up and took it on home. I really do. We have to give her kudos for that.
Yeah, big applause, especially in this political climate, to put her political career out there and step into doing what's right, and then to get it done. Like I said, kudos and big applause.
And just speaking on that, I know because I know I didn't have you to chime in on this last question. Comment on this last question in regards to excellence and how it's tied to trauma. I don't know if you still want to chime in on that.
Yeah, just very quickly. I think that everybody in America, you have trauma just based on your skin color. So anything you do in life to be productive is coming out of some type of trauma. Whether, like a lot of athletes say that, they got tired of seeing their parents or their single mother starving. So they wanted to get her out. So the trauma of just day-to-day existing in this America is there. So anytime you put your foot forward to even hustle or grind in any field, it's that motivating factor to change your condition and get out of the hood or get out of that perilous situation that you were immersed in just by being alive.
It's trying to make me think about, I have two nieces, and I do believe that, excellence can come from trauma, who dealt with a lot of trauma in their life, who has crossed a lot of hurdles to get where they are right now. And one of them is doing well for herself, what she used to be in the streets, but now doing wonderful, have a good employment, making good money. And my other niece, man, working on her master's right now. So, but came from some trauma that could cause them to fail in life, but excel beyond that and are living their best life right now. So we can connect with those that are right in our families, those in the communities, our friends, and see how they excel beyond this year, those traumas to get where they are today. So definitely, we know success can tie into trauma. A lot of people, when they experience trauma, all they want to do is focus on what they can do to get past that. And a lot of times it's investing in, work with your craft or something. And next thing you know, it blew up and it's like, now I got a story to tell. That's my testimony. So yeah, definitely. What we at on time, sir?
Overtime.
We overtime? Okay. Do we have any comments coming in? We just don't want to make sure we miss no comments.
No, sir.
All right. All right. So our listen audience, we are going to listen and viewing audience. We're going to transition a little bit. We're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Welcome to my life where, yes, sometimes the biggest businesses in Florida ask me to come visit. They really got to start paying me, bro. We out here at Tampa, Boca, Orlando, Jacksonville, and I even sometimes make it to North Carolina, baby.
With all that traveling, guess who has no idea how to turn those into tax write-offs, deductions? Wait, bro, never mind that I'm Bigfoot. I can't even read.
Things get sketchy out here, not just for my personal taxes, but also my videos. But as usual, Bigfoot knows a guy.
Scott & Associates, man. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a nonprofit founder, a startup, or an established company, you deserve a partner who understands your goals. And these guys do.
They specialize in bookkeeping, payroll, business consulting, IRS representation, and cleanups that give you a fresh start. No judgment, just solution.
I'm not sure what you're doing, still scrolling reels. Get ahead of the feds this time. Call Scott.
And remember, y'all, when it comes to taxes, you can always count on Scott. Peace.
Because Scott & Associates always treats me like family, I refer my family to them. So when preparing for my taxes and I know exactly what to bring in coming in, it makes the process so much easier. Anyone should hire Scott & Associates because they are professional, respectful, and very knowledgeable. And with all of my heart, I can always count on them.
Right. So we're going to transition a little bit and we're going to see what's on our brother Ezekiel mind.
Well, being that this is Black History Month and we were speaking about innovating, I was just sitting around wondering how many of the Black people, Latino people, or the white people are being innovative in order to change their condition. Financially, the mass majority of the population will be richer due to the taxes now. And I'm wondering, what program are you implementing to allow this infusion of cash that you're about to receive to start a process that will allow you to have cash all the way up to next season? We spoke back in December and November about how the holidays have a way of draining us of our cash and putting us behind the 8 ball. So I'm just wondering, what are people going to do with this influx of money that they're about to receive that will allow it to turn on its axis and continue to produce an overabundance of money throughout the rest of the year, so when those holidays at the end of the year do come back around, they don't put you in debt being able to purchase the gifts that you want for friends or family members. And being that, again, that it's Black History Month, we're looking at so many figures that had nothing. As the example that was given, raised in slave conditions, but yet was able to pull themselves up to become phenomenal men and women. So if we want to excel, what financial program are we implementing in our households that will allow us to stay out of the red. We know that as a person thinker, that's who they are. So what information, what knowledge, what wisdom are you acquiring that will allow you to begin to think on a superior level financially so that you can be or have the wealth that you dream of without the hustle, sorrow, and looking over your shoulder that come with being in the streets?
I think that kind of ties into habits when I think about like habit. You know, I think our people have been conditioned when you're talking about those that are getting refunds. We're looking at that poverty level, you know, individual that may get a $5,000, $6,000, or $10,000 refund. And when you're looking at their income, they only made $20,000 a year. So that extra $10,000 is like an additional $30,000. We know when it comes to living, depending on, you know, if you're, you know, either got like a Section A, or what is it called? It's a Section 8, and then you have, is it another one, like 4C or Section 8? Yeah, if you have something of that nature, I mean, of course, you know, your bills may be a little less. And just to my brother's point, we do have to be thinking about how do we excel beyond this here? Because we've been conditioned based off of habits to go through the holiday time, get in debt, come to the tax time, get a bucks of income. For some people, they do pay towards getting out their debt. For others, they just stay in debt. And then they already have ideas of what they want to do with this money. And it ain't investing. So it leads right back in, and then that cycle goes round and around. And then if you teach your children this, they join right into that cycle and they keep going in a circle. And it's like you can be inspired by what somebody says, but true actions have to take place in order for you to change your condition.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. It's like being on that hamster wheel, and if you put someone in a position and their finances are in need, and you give them a influx of cash, system is designed, like I say, those holidays, that's not accidental for you to get into debt and to spend during the holidays, and then shortly thereafter, big bro, Uncle Sam will give you some cash, but there's going to be hundreds of ads with shiny objects, and it's really designed to put that right back into the economy, which benefits, it keeps the engine flowing. It's not to benefit the individual. The majority will not get out of debt. Some will, but the majority will spend. And because it's by design, as capitalism, and you have they talk excellence, you're gonna spend it, and you're gonna turn around and give it back because the education hasn't been there. You invest and hold on to it. Because if you truly were doing it right, that's a credit that you didn't earn it. That's a tax. So if you truly were doing it properly, you wouldn't get that large of a credit, or if you did, you would automatically know to invest it. But most of us haven't been given that kind of education on dollars.
Because even just looking at the average living, so when it comes to paying your bills, like I say, some may be in some low income homes that they can adjust to whatever wages are coming in. They can pay this a little bit here, a little bit there. But the average, especially if you have dependents. So if you have 2 or 3 dependents, and you, whether it's apartment or a house, you got to at least be making at least $40,000-$50,000 or more a year just to keep up with, just basic expenses to make sure that you're living. But if you're making 20 or 25, that $10,000 become additional income to help you get through the year. So the idea behind and trying to invest that is like, can't afford to invest it. That's helping me get through the year. So it's almost like an additional income that's not being taxed because it's needed. So now your income, where it was 25 with your employer, that extra 10 is additional income. So now you make $35,000 a year. But still you're dealing with the same old habits, getting in debt during holiday time, and then you use it, and that becomes a part of your expense as well. So to my brother's point, when it comes to that, we have to change some of the things that we're doing and be okay with it. I mean, we can't always please, Billy and Sue. I mean, sometimes they have to understand what we're going through. We talked about this in the show. Like, you got to sit down with those children and say, hey, listen, this is where we are. This is what we can do. No, they ain't going to understand, but because they're going to be like, Daddy, give me this here. Dad only do that once a year. But Dad, the whole other time throughout the year. Once a year, he came through like he's Santa Claus. And so, I mean, that's another part too. And our brothers have to step up and just understand that even if you're not with the woman that you had the children with, that you have to be more consistent in giving. And even if our brothers have the children, sisters, we have to be more consistent in giving to that, because we have to understand that there's a need there. And we have to be able to do that together and not just allow one person to take on that burden, because it becomes challenging. And yeah, it can hurt a child, I wanted Christmas when I was coming up. We couldn't afford Christmas. and it has nothing to do with me not celebrating Christmas today, but it's just, as a child, you don't understand unless somebody teaches you. And as I got, more conscious of that and learned that, and I had to teach it to my children, they got it. They understood it. They understood Daddy wasn't doing that, wasn't participating in that. But I love you, and I do other things for you. I'm not doing that. Because I didn't transition beyond that, because I understand what that's all about. Anything else on this, sir?
No, sir. Excellent points.
All right. Well, we'll get to that point where we get ready to close out. And since I went your way, sir, I let you go ahead and close out first with the last words.
Again, as Black excellence, put yourself in the position to excel in every aspect of your life, and use that as a model for your children, your family, and your friends. Be that example that they can draw from and want to emulate in their behavior.
I would say definitely, as we come into here near the end, the last week of Black History Month, let's be very conscious. Even though we celebrate it 1 month, we have to live it every month.
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna leave us with that. We need to live it every month. Don't just let this month be the only time you think about Black excellence or Black history. Let's continue this throughout the year. And I say, from the host, Peace and Prosperity, and from Live Talk, we are out.
Thank you for watching Live Talk. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Talk Orlando. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit on the notification button so that you can see more videos like this. You want to join the show? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com. You can also follow the host on Facebook and Instagram at Arthur Jeremiah. And visit the website, thenoystore.com,
amazon.com to pick up your copy of The Spiritual Significance of a Name.